miss the premieres of World's Deadliest Weather at 8 and Deadline to Disaster at 9 next Sunday night, only on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 50 degrees under cloudy skies. Tonight, cloudy skies early, then off and on rain showers overnight. Low 48. Chance of rain 40%. Thursday, cloudy with showers. High 60. Winds east-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of rain 60%. Thursday night, cloudy. Low 42. Winds northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Our busy evening continues here on Weather Underground. I'm Storm Specialist Mark Elliott, and we've been following a smattering of tornado warnings today from Oklahoma into Texas and Louisiana. Now kind of in that unstable air south of our warm front. This is the warm sector. 2 tornado warnings to follow right now, both of which are tagged with tornadoes in progress. I think both of them may be easing up just a little bit in just the past few moments when we were in break, and that is good news because they were both approaching town. So let's look at both of these. Here's one right here. There's one right here near our warm front. We'll start off by looking into that extreme east Texas approaching Louisiana. Jasper hopefully dodged a bullet here. There was a potential for a strong tornado to be approaching the town. You have a signature like this, and it raises all the alarm bells when the town is right there. Classic point for where the tornado would be. Very strong winds surging forward. Hail core north of town. There was not an easy escape route here. It seems like that rotation for the tornado may have lifted or eased up basically as it came to town. And let's take a look at that. Here's that rotation. There is still a lot of wind, right? And different wind directions. It's a kind of a sheared line right in here as opposed to a true connection of, a couplet where the tornado winds may be moving through. But we've got those winds surging forward right in here. And we also have winds racing into the storm going this way. Where those meet up, there can be tornadoes. And so we can't rule out still a tornado near Jasper or moving east of town now. And as we have this on here, let's just take a quick look at some of the winds right in town. There's a 40, there's a 41, and then there's a 65, 64. So there's the type of wind that blasted through the Jasper area. Whether that was a rotating wind or not, I'm not sure at this point. Let's hope that this kind of did broaden out and was just a bunch of wind from the back edge of the storm, rain cool air surging forward. There's another look at some of those very strong winds on the leading flank pushing through that storm. But if I can back this up just a couple of moments, as that tornado emergency was issued, look at that strong couplet right in there, approaching Jasper. Very strong, and then it starts to kind of fall apart and broaden out just a little bit. So let's hope that we do not have a tornado that came through Jasper. That's not to say the threat is done. We may actually see a kind of a recycling on the east side of town for a new tornado potential. No debris is seen by the radar at the moment. That is good news. There's definitely some hail on the north side of town. That's where you're seeing that kind of red shifting to the yellows and greens. Let's hope there's not like a big blue ball that shows up on the east side of Jasper, because that would indicate debris being lofted into the air after hitting the town. No sign of that yet, but again, tornado emergency because of that potential, and it was so close to Jasper. I mentioned there was another tornado warning to follow that could very well have a tornado, and that's here right along that border of Oklahoma and Texas. A bit of a difficult look at this storm. We're pretty far from the radar site. I think this is the Fort Smith radar that's down towards the storm. It's McCurtain and Red River tagged as having a tornado with this as it heads towards the Idabel area of Oklahoma. But again, a real tough look at this. Let's try to move this view around just a little bit and see if we have any better views of this storm. Potentially from the south, at least you see the reds and greens near each other. But again, no immediate signs of a tornado from these vantage points because we're very far away from the storm. But again, it's tagged as having a tornado from the National Weather Service. They have spotters nearby. There's been a history of that with this storm. So it's something we need to continue to follow. And again, the technology not suggesting using this mode of the radar that there's debris at the moment, but it is something that we definitely need to watch. Otherwise, we were watching this I-20 corridor. Embedded within this whole mess, Alex, was a tornado circulation. It has since gusted forward, just straight line winds, but look at the rain that's left. The flood threat is considerable along that I-20 corridor in northern Louisiana as we go through the rest of the evening hours tonight.
All right, Mark, thank you. And with tonight's threat, it's so important to have a plan in place if you need to seek shelter. Dr. Nav here with a few tips, including where you don't want to be. And this isn't just for tornado warnings. In fact, some of these plans need to be put in action the second you go under a watch.
Yes, there are things you need to do when a tornado watch is issued, and let me show you why as an example tonight. Let's take a look at the current situation. Mark was just showing you the tornado there, the tornado warning in the Jasper area. This has been a long-lived supercell. You've had tornadoes up here in southeast Oklahoma, and this area is under the gun for flash flooding. So it's a terrible night to be on the roads because of flash flooding, and you've got a tornado watch here in much of the northern half of Louisiana. Now, what do you do in that area? You don't have a warning yet. What do you do in the tornado watch? Here are things I would suggest, and they would start with get off the roads and get to a sturdy shelter. Don't be out on the roads and then get caught in a tornado warning situation when you're out on the roads. That is a life-threatening situation. You don't want to be caught in that. And if you live in a mobile home, you want to go to a more substantial structure now and spend the evening there. Wherever it is you're going to shelter for the rest of the night in that tornado watch area, close all the windows and doors, bring in loose yard items so you don't want flying debris, set up a way to get those weather alerts loud and clear on your phone or the NORWeather radio, and prepare your safe room. And realize, Alex, that we've already seen damage today, we've already seen fatalities today, and we want people to not be in mobile homes, not be out in the open, not be in vehicles. Get to a sturdy shelter now so you're not caught in this situation, and you want to be in the lowest level, most interior room.
Yeah, really important stuff to remember. Think about it now so you're ready to go when you get the warning. Well, no time to waste as well as we prepare for hurricane season. So we're going to help you get ready for that too. Dr. Nav is back coming up next to tell you everything you need to do around and to your home before you evacuate. Welcome back into Weather Underground. It has been a very busy afternoon into the evening. A new piece of video coming in, and yeah, you are watching that tornado. This is Medill, Oklahoma, and we've gotten a few videos of this tornado forming, moving over what turned out to be a mobile home park where several mobile homes were completely destroyed. There you can see that dirt funneling up into the storm itself, the condensation funnel as well. Eventually, we saw this thing rope out, a bit of a rainbow spotted nearby, but unfortunately, not on the ground. It did not appear for very long, but it did plenty of damage while it was. Another larger structure, maybe a storage building or a farm building, also damaged. We have learned now, unfortunately, a second person was killed in that storm this afternoon. Marshall County Emergency Management confirmed that news just moments ago. So that means 2 people were killed in this tornado there in the Medill area. Now we look at Bryant County, Oklahoma. Another video, you can see some of the flashes at the ground. So even though you can't see necessarily at all times that rotation reaching the ground, it's there because we're seeing some of that damage or debris at the surface. Now you get a look at that overall circulation and some of those larger pieces of debris being lofted well up into the storm. That's the same area as Lake Durant and Caddo, where a tornado was reported earlier today, and the threat for storms continues. And so because of that, we are here with you extra. Mark Elliott, our storm specialist, has been on the case this afternoon. Mark, is there anything that makes you think things could be getting a little bit favorable or more favorable in terms of tornadoes in the coming hours?
What's good is that we don't have the coverage that we had earlier today when at one point we were tracking 6 or 7 different tornado warnings all at the same time. The bad news is that the 2 tornado warnings that we still have ongoing are still producing tornadoes. Both of them are tagged as potentially creating tornadoes, imminently or currently. One of them is the very strong supercell that we've been following for hours, coming in now almost all the way into Louisiana, and I think it will continue in Louisiana. There's a warm sector here. You've got Gulf of Mexico moisture still streaming in, an untapped environment more or less, and a very strong lightning jump still suggesting very strong updraft as a supercell that doesn't show any signs of weakening. The other storm is up here near our warm front, and that warm front is providing the spin, and I think that storm will also continue. It will weaken once it crosses over that warm front. If it can race ahead of the warm front and get into that different wind direction, that'll be the end of that tornado threat, but we're not there yet. Let's start off in Texas. This is a crazy supercell. Has come through the Jasper area, but still a potential for a tornado here. We've got our inflow notch like this, so inflow air coming in, untapped air, warm Gulf of Mexico air. We've got a rain cool air wrapping back around, and there very well could be a tornado hanging out right there. Look at that connection between the reds and the greens, again right in that classic spot where those winds would meet. And leaving that circle on the map, that is a debris signature right in there. The map moved, so let's do that a couple more times. Let's go back and forth, keeping the same camera view so you get an idea of what is occurring. I'll circle this area for you. That is debris as seen by the Doppler radar system. This is the storm itself, suggesting that that same debris should be rain, except we know that it's not because of the technology, and it matches up perfectly with the worst of the rotation. Very strong winds. So that is a tornado that is ongoing now. I would say the radar is confirming that we have a tornado right here, timing out that debris area for you as it moves on off towards the east. Could clip Burkeville and Shankville by about 740 or so. Burkeville is basically right here, Shankville just on the other side. The worst of the rotation and the debris should stay just north of Newton, but you're going to get slammed by the straight line wind, so there's a lot of risks with this storm. Probably a tornado happening right now, so please seek shelter. If at all possible, underground, and if not, the lowest level you have in the most interior spot that you have, putting as many walls between you and the storm as possible. We also continue to follow this storm as it approaches the Idabel area. This is Oklahoma. This is the Texas side. It's been hugging the river, but suggestions from the National Weather Service that there could be a tornado kind of hanging back within this area. A little bit tough to see, but that there could be a tornado here headed towards the Idabel area. And because we're far from the radar, we don't have a great view of this, but some spotters nearby and the National Weather Service saying, yes, we need to continue to raise the alarm. So if we were to time out this storm for you, headed towards the Idabel region, you don't have too much time left, maybe 750 before the worst of that rotating wind is knocking on your doorstep. So again, two very strong storms in those favorable environments, the most pressing of which is this one, Jasper and Newton County, tornado warning until 8. Likely a tornado, should be heading just south of Burkeville.
Welcome back into Weather Underground. A new video to share with you coming in within the hour, and this is a pretty incredible picture. This is Lake Durant, Oklahoma, and you almost don't know what to look at because there's so much going on. You've got the rainbow and then the rain in the foreground, and then in the background you can see the tornado, at times multiple vortices rotating around, kind of like a the carousel at the park. This is the second of two videos that we got in today that included a tornado and a rainbow. So a pretty wild afternoon there in the state of Oklahoma. Again, this one was in Lake Durant. There's the rainbow. For a brief moment, you can see some heavier rain coming down closer to the camera. And then off in the distance, there you go. There is that tornado. Mark, you said when you saw this, you were like, I don't even know what to look at. There's so much going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right about the amusement park ride. I think it's like the Scrambler.
Yes.
So the whole thing is rotating, and so that's your tornado. But the individual cars, the suction vortices, are kind of dancing around in these different patterns.
Rotating around that,
while still keeping that circulation. So yeah, that's the tornado version of the Scrambler. If we ever get the state fairs open up this summer, you can remember this video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. you know, the research says, now that we're getting better views of these tornadoes, that probably all tornadoes are multi-vortex tornadoes. But it doesn't mean you get a view like this.
No.
Getting them dancing around with a rainbow cutting through the middle. I mean, come on, you ask too much.
Right. This person had just a clear view through this field and just beyond those homes, and then, yeah, added the rainbow in for good measure.
If someone were to take photos of this and then try to sell it somewhere, people would say that it was added in digitally. No one would believe this if it wasn't a video that we're seeing, and the situation being that we had several of these come in today.
Right, our own Charles Peak out there capturing basically the lifespan of that tornado in Medill, and at the end it ropes out next to a rainbow.
Yep. Yeah,
crazy.
You just have to have the right kind of sun angle, the right time of day in order to have that sun go through the rain. These are supercells, so they're all on their own. So that makes it have that potential for having sunshine shining through some of the rain from the storm itself. Two storms that we're still watching, the most pressing of which is approaching that Texas-Louisiana border. A lot of lightning with this one, right? That is the lightning jump, or just the amount of electricity, very strong updraft to have all that lightning. The other one's up here, not as good a view of that storm, but still some rotation at play. I want to jump into the Texas storm that's about to approach Louisiana. This has been a supercell that we've been following for hours now, and it has kind of cycled and regenerated, and probably has a tornado continuing with it that will hopefully stay just south of Burkeville in Texas and then approach the Louisiana side. Here's a look at that rotation, still very strong, due north of Newton, should stay south of Burkeville, and then this is debris of some kind that's been lofted up by this storm. We can kind of step this back a couple of moments, and we had a much stronger debris signature right here. It has since eased up on those colors a little bit. That probably indicates some of that debris from back here is falling still through the air. Maybe not new debris added in, but can't rule out that there's still a tornado there, and some sort of light debris, maybe leaves from the tree, that can be tumbling, and the radar can see that. And you know, it's very strong rotation still. Let me go back to that rotation side of things, because when the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center sees that, that's enough to say, okay, this is likely a strong tornado. It's just not hitting anything. It's kind of shooting the uprights in between Newton and Burkeville, and I think it's going to stay that way as we continue to march on forward. If we take a little bit of a look at the timing here from this rotation spot, moving on off towards the east, missing most of the towns. Should stay just south of Burkeville and then eventually get into the Almadane area. That is on the Louisiana side. And Alex, there is no tornado warning there yet. I think we'll need one. But for now, we're still focused on the Texas side of things with a very strong circulation ongoing.
All right, we're going to get back to you with that. But we know there's less than 6 weeks until the official start of Atlantic hurricane season. So a lot to talk about with that. And throughout the week, Dr. Nab has been talking about evacuations. First, how do you know if you need to evacuate? Second, where do you evacuate? But now today's topic is, what do you need to do to and around your home before you evacuate?
Yeah, we're still going to have to evacuate if a hurricane comes. The pandemic doesn't mean that we're not going to do that. We just have to do it a little differently and plan a little more ahead. And before you leave your home, there are things you need to do, because while you're gone, because of the reason you've been told to evacuate, might be storm surge, your home could flood. And authorities actually, Alex, might tell you to turn off your electricity at the breaker switch, turn off your water supply, because after a storm, if there's flooding, you don't want the power coming back on,
right.
And appliances that are in water, having the electricity turned back on, and you want to elevate things. You want to get things off the floor onto the second level, onto a high shelf, whatever you can do to lessen the amount of your stuff that gets flooded.
Yeah, then we've got to protect what could be coming into the home, protecting our windows, thinking about even what's in our yard.
Yeah, get everything off the yard that could be flying debris, and that's the kind of thing you can actually do before the season. You can trim the trees. You can, just make sure that your yard isn't cluttered with a lot of stuff that could be flying debris. And don't tape your windows before you evacuate your home, or at any time. I don't want to see those taped X's on the windows. They're not going to stop the windows from breaking. and you're going to have more to do afterward to scrape the tape off. So put up the plywood or put up the shutters, close the shutters before you leave, and you want to make sure that you are ready to leave.
Yes.
So tomorrow we're going to talk about what do you put in that go pack to take with you to your evacuation destination, and that's got a few more things in it this year because of the pandemic.
Right, and some things that might take you a little longer to get, so we're going to talk about that so that way you've got plenty of time to work on getting this and collecting it and having it ready to go. All right, Dr. Knapp, thank you so much. Straight ahead on Weather Underground, we're going to analyze the pattern fueling the severe storms into the weekend, and of course we'll check back in with Mark watching the active warnings right now.
I'm your mother-in-law.
Get the most out of your mornings. You need to know what weather is heading your way. Wake up watching AMHQ. Weekday mornings on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 50 degrees under cloudy skies. Tonight, cloudy skies early, then off and on rain showers overnight. Low 48. Chance of rain 40%. Thursday, cloudy with showers. High 60. Winds east-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of rain 60%. Thursday night, cloudy. Low 42. Winds northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
I was just getting out of work, and I came up by Walmart, and I seen it on the side of us, the tornado, but it hadn't dropped yet. I made it to my trailer enough to grab my animal and get into the shelter, and it was on top of us. I mean, it was like right there.
What were you thinking when all that was happening?
I can't say that on TV. Very scary, very scary. My first tornado ever.
We heard that woman, her name's Pam Seller. She talked about how she basically had just moments to grab her pets, get to that shelter, and why it is so important to know where your shelter is, have a shelter designated, and be able to get there quickly should the warning come in. Because you heard her, she said she just got home from work and had just enough time to get there, and she is now was completely destroyed, or some of the homes in it were completely destroyed. We talk so often about mobile homes being such a dangerous spot to be in these type of storms. Mark, we still have ongoing severe weather out there, including active tornado warnings. We've been watching two areas in particular.
Yes, two tornado warnings, both of which could still have tornadoes. I say could because there's one that almost definitely does. First, just if you're just tuning in, here's the risk zone for the rest of the evening hours. We're following a few more storms coming out of this tornado watch that goes until 9 o'clock. Then everybody else east of this line goes until midnight. One cluster following the warm front towards generally the Shreveport area, although Shreveport's been worked over with all kinds of rain and storms, and so it will likely start to fizzle out as a tornado threat by the time it gets there. On the other hand, a very strong storm that's about to cross into central Louisiana that likely has a strong tornado with it as we speak. So let's get into there. That's the nitty-gritty here, following out of Jasper. Looks like the storm really missed Jasper. We didn't see any signs of debris as the storm came through Jasper, but I wish we could say the same thing now as this storm is approaching that Texas-Louisiana border. Brand new warning. They've extended this off to the east, so let me show you that. It's for Vernon Parish and a small sliver of Newton County. Headed generally towards the DeRidder area, although the worst of the rotation should stay north from there. I want to give you a look at that rotation because it is very strong. Although maybe breaking up just a bit compared to where we were. Let's step this back a little bit, and you can see why we were so concerned here. Look at this strong rotation coming towards the Newton area, and then south of Burkeville, that red and green area was right next to each other. Very strong right in here still. And then we get into where we're at now, and it's still there, maybe just hidden behind that other warning. So this is where the worst of our rotation is, right in here. We can take a look and see if there's debris being lofted into the air, and I think there still is, although that may be some that's falling out from where it hit something in its past. So again, let's kind of step this forward a few moments where we had a, this debris signature right in here, and then we can move that forward closer to now, right in there with some debris, and then here's exactly where we're at now, and that is still a debris signature right here. So something is being lofted into the air by our storm as it makes its way through the Texas, extreme East Texas, about to get into Louisiana. You see how that circle, I left that on the screen for you, matches up very well with the rotation component right in here. So all of that said, let's time this out for you. Let's time out where that rotation is going to go as it makes its way off towards the east. It should come towards a place on the Louisiana side, Almadane, by about 7:58, just before the top of the hour. Night by about 8:03, so just down the road from there, and then Rose Pine by 8:16 as it continues on off towards the east, close to 30 to 40 miles per hour. We can also look at the storms that are north of the Shreveport area. This one is extreme southeast Oklahoma towards the Idabel area, and still a chance of a tornado here. And then we've got all this rain. All the rain around Shreveport, and that's where we want to bring in Dr. Knabb, because Dr. Knabb, it has been a flood event tonight around the Shreveport area.
It absolutely has, and unfortunately, some people have been out on the roads, and we've had numerous reports of stranded vehicles, and even in some places, water getting into some homes. So this is going to be an overnight into tomorrow flood threat that will continue to need to be taken seriously. And overnight flooding can be extremely dangerous. Let's take a look at where the flash flood watches are, all the way into Jackson, Mississippi, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, Alabama. It's going to be an overnight, early morning problem in Jackson. I'll show you why in just a moment. Here's our low. Here's our warm front. You got a batch of flash flood warnings there in northern Louisiana. And Shreveport, fortunately for you, your warning is no longer, but you still have ongoing issues. In Mansfield, just south of there, 6 homes were flooded on Grove Street. We've got the flash flood warning east of Shreveport now, but look at all these reports of water-covered roads, and a lot of those reports were of stranded vehicles. And as this goes farther east, down to the southeast of Shreveport, we got our warning in Grant, Jackson, and Wynn parishes until 9:30 Central Time. And then look at Jackson, Mississippi. Look at this batch of extremely heavy rain. This system has a history of producing 2 to 3 inch per hour rain rates. By midnight, maybe even a little sooner, the rain will start in Jackson, Mississippi, and it could last for hours. We'll be back to Mark in just a moment to give you an update on the tornado warnings.
Check this out, some brand new images, again, to show you. This was from earlier today. I say that it's new. If you're just tuning in, look at this. We have funnel, we have debris cloud, we have rainbow. I mean, it's just jaw-dropping what Mother Nature can do when it's an open field like this. It changes when these tornadoes approach towns and homes and buildings, and then, then your views on this change dramatically along with it. But for now, this is that was just a beautiful view of this storm. The biggest storm of note right now has just crossed into Louisiana. This is a tornado warning into Vernon Parish. Very strong rotation here. I want to get a little bit closer into that rotation. It has broadened out just a little bit, but it's more than enough to still have a tornado within here. As for any debris, not a super clear sign of debris at the moment. We will have updates on this storm as the evening continues.
We have